Hey guys, it's M Galaxy and welcome to the camera comparison between the good old Samsung Galaxy S10 and latest Apple iPhone 13. So I hope you are as curious as I am to see how the old and now more affordable than ever Samsung Galaxy S10 can hold up against the latest, more expensive Apple iPhone 13. Those winter/fall conditions didn't make this test easy for me, but we can already spot a difference between the two. That is in HDR mode and colors. I think the iPhone looks slightly more realistic here, especially the sky area and sun look real nice. Samsung is just a bit too bright with that reddish kind of tint. Still, ideally I would prefer to see something in the middle between the two. That said, it is a matter of taste, and I know for a fact people often just prefer a brighter picture like that from the S10. And the same goes for the ultra-wide angle mode, and I think you get my previous point. Now, super difficult scene over here because we have a lot of shadowy underexposed things going on just below the brightest point, that is the sun. Both handled it pretty nicely, but I can see a slightly more pleasing representation of the sun on the iPhone. Other than that, Samsung is much brighter, but I want you to notice this comes at the expense of slightly more visible noise and related artifacts looking at the center of the picture. Going into the ultra-wide angle mode, what a striking and unusual difference in the colors. I think it is somewhat a bit too much of a good thing in the Samsung. Don't get me wrong, the iPhone is not perfect either because the picture came out too dull. I hate to repeat myself, but indeed I would love to see something in the middle between the two. Both look good there. The iPhone is a bit darker, but again with less noise in the grass area. And if you wonder what's going on with the depth of field on the Samsung, why it is worse than in the iPhone here, the answer is feature called dual aperture. It means the S10 adjusts its aperture automatically between the f1.5 and f2.4 depending on the condition. Speaking from the experience, in most conditions it uses f2.4, which may not always come as ideal. Later on they removed this feature. Aside from that, overall I would give it to the iPhone. Just look at the sun area, colors and the whole vibe of this picture. It looks sort of more artistic and pleasing to me. Samsung is not bad by any means, but that's just my preference over here. But don't get me wrong, I am just emphasizing these differences a little. Like here, notice slightly more realism of the shadows and reflections on those taillights in comparison with the Samsung. Not a big difference, but enough to be noticed. That said, it is often about the preference, and I'm sure you will see yourself looking at those pictures thinking they both look pretty much the same. To dig a little deeper, on a more objective level, let's check out the difference in the level of detail between the two. Looking at this flower and zooming in, I don't see any difference related to the level of detail, though as usual Samsung adds a bit more sharpening. Oh, and I should also mention here that focusing distance is much better on the S10. Apple totally messed it up this year, but if you want to know more about that, watch my iPhone 12 versus iPhone 13 camera comparison. Going into the crop on this tree, the amount of detail is very good on both, and as I often say, current sharpening applied by Samsung is made with such taste that I can confidently say I respect that attempt in differentiating from others in the game. So it really looks like you won't get any upgrade in terms of details in textures or such, despite Apple's marketing claims about the bigger sensor in the iPhone 13. More so that extra sharpness in the Samsung might make an advantage for some of you. When it comes to the video quality, things get a little different. The iPhone's 13 footage looks a bit more natural, with I think slightly better dynamic range. Also, as you can see, there is a lot less noise and exposure jumps, and stabilization works a bit more fluid and smoothed out. That said, the level of detail in the ultra-wide angle mode might be a bit higher on the Samsung Galaxy S10. Audio test 1 2 3. Audio test 1 2 3. In terms of the low-light performance, zooming in on the STSOT watch, the iPhone appears to handle it a tad better with less noise. The color science, however, is mixed up. It seems that the iPhone will often try to counteract unfavorable lighting in the room, removing some of its warmth. It is probably more often a good thing, but not always, as you can see in this example. Looks sort of artificial. In this one, maybe I would lean slightly towards the iPhone. More interestingly, here I would choose the S10, so as you can see, iPhone is not necessarily much better in every possible scenario. What's interesting is in such extreme conditions, when using the night mode, you will find that in opposite to daytime pictures, S10 provides less contrast and saturation compared to the Apple's phone. However, I do prefer the automatic night mode on the iPhone. You will often find yourself switching in on manually in the S10 a bit annoying, though the results are again not bad at all. That said, it is quite hard to compare them in this regard, since night mode intervals will often vary depending on the scene. But generally, I would say that low light performance in itself is pretty comparable between the two, although the noise handling is superior on the iPhone. With one exception, that is the ultra-wide angle mode, the pictures come out noticeably brighter from the Galaxy S10. Although video quality in such extreme conditions is when the iPhone really shines, I have to say I didn't expect to see such results at all. It is quite interesting. That said, in the ultra-wide-angle mode, the performance is much closer. It is more reasonable to stick with the standard mode in this kind of scenario on both, if you ask me. To sum up, just like I said in the comparison with the iPhone 12 last year, the Samsung Galaxy S10 still remains a better value for money. Despite some of the things being undoubtedly better, like video quality or noise processing in low light, most of the performance is the same, or comes down to the personal preference. Especially the same level of detail is quite a disappointment considering the new, bigger sensor on the iPhone 13. But let me know which one you prefer, and ultimately, is the iPhone 13 camera worth that extra money over the S10 in your opinion? Stay tuned for more camera comparisons and reviews, and see you all in the next one. Peace!